everybody. I am Darnell Haywood, Director of College Counseling, and I'm thrilled to see you all here tonight for the College Counseling Preview Night. Can anyone tell me what that graphic is up there? What's the yellow? Yellow Brick Road. Good. Already you're doing well. We know you're going to do well in this process. What college counseling is at Columbus Academy is you're following the Yellow Brick Road from Columbus Academy to college. And college counseling is that space on the road there for you. And we wanted to start out to tell you where you are in your journey. The purpose of tonight's meeting is to help you learn a little bit more about college admissions and the college admissions landscape, to understand a little bit of the timeline that you'll be following over the next 2 years as you go through this journey. And this is really a preview night. So you don't need to take notes. You don't need to take pictures of any slides. You just need to sit back and listen. We're going to send you all the information afterwards. And I think the best news is that we keep it to 1 hour. Okay, so this is the college counseling team at Columbus Academy. I'm joined by Carla Krucka and Jen Fitzpatrick. And together we figured out today that we have a collective of 75 years of experience in college admissions and college counseling. I know that that's hard to believe, but we are seasoned professionals. We're mature, a little on the older side, but we love this work. We love working with kids, and we keep doing this year after year because we're excited about what this process, the growth that students can have in this process and the learning as they go through this. Just a little bit about the basics of college counseling at Columbus Academy. So you all have chosen a school that places a lot of value on college counseling. We have 3 college counselors. We have, if you met in the back, Mandy Schmall and Jen Conti are also in our office, a backbone of our office. So there are 5 of us that are dedicated to this work in this school. So this is not like a typical high school where you would have a school counselor who would also be doing college counseling on top of many other things. Our job is solely focused on college admissions, college counseling, and we think very seriously and in a fun way about the best way to introduce these topics to students and families and what we can do to make this a joyful process for you all. Tonight's agenda, we will be following this as we go along, giving you all nuggets of information we think will be helpful for you as you think about this process that's upcoming. At this point, you are not even halfway through your high school career, but we know that everybody likes to look ahead and hear what's going to be on the horizon. So that's tonight's program, so you'll know a little bit more about that as we go along. I'm going to now pass it off to Carla Krucka.
Okay, so I think the most important thing for you to understand first is our philosophy here at Columbus Academy and certainly in our office. And we really like this quote because we feel like it really captures it. We want and hope that you will all recognize that the choices students make in the colleges that they choose to apply to and ultimately where they choose to attend it's rooted in your family values. It's rooted in what's important to you all. And tonight the information will be general and we will kind of guide you into the specifics as you move throughout the process or along that yellow brick road. We want you to understand that our goal is to help your students find best fit colleges. Plural, right? There's going to be more than one. There are lots of wonderful places out there. And no matter where your students choose to go, it's what they get out of it that's so important. And this process is hopefully going to help guide them along that way. You know, there's no magic formula. There are no boxes necessarily to check. It's not, I have this one school in mind and I'm going to check all these boxes to get there. And so we want you to learn and listen and ask lots of questions. That's what we're here for. So these what we think are the 3 steps to a really happy college process. There can be so much joy in this process. And I think I'm speaking for my colleagues when I say that we really love this first step. This is the reason we really love doing our job, is to help students kind of reflect on what's important to them, what their values are, the things they really enjoy. And I think it's so often easy to want to skip the first step, but that's the most important part of this process. You get out of it what you put into it, and I think we're going to help the students have tools to be able to find a lot out about themselves, but there are going to be lots of themes that are going to pop up and reveal themselves as we go through this process. The first step in this self-reflection is kind of asking yourself lots of different questions. Students and parents, you can absolutely help in this part of the process as well. Think about when your kid is coming home from school and they're talking about their day. What pops up most in conversation first? Is it, I'm really excited about this English capstone project that I'm doing, and let me tell you all the wonderful pieces and parts of that puzzle that I'm putting together. Maybe they're talking to you about some extracurricular activities that they're taking part in, or perhaps a sport that they're playing. Maybe they're talking about how they're going to prepare for the prom, and they're really excited about that. All of those things are absolutely wonderful and age appropriate and fine, but that's kind of how you're going to get excited about this. That's going to be sort of the start of this process. And it's important to remember that in the adult world, you're not judged on your weaknesses, but you're judged on how strong your strengths are and how well you know yourself. And so we really take a strengths-based approach to this process. There's, again, trying to keep joy and happiness in every piece of this, because there is tons of it here in this process. Some of the questions you can start asking yourself or thinking about, and we help you with this. We dig into these with the students in individual appointments or in college counseling class, but it's never really too early to start kind of at this point thinking about some of these things about yourself, getting to know yourself a little bit more. We want you to start here because this is where we start. This is how we get to know you as students and people, and this is where you're going to start as well. My favorite question is this last one, or the topic that comes up, I think, most often with students is kind of the location of the schools that they might be thinking about. And oftentimes we hear, I have to go to school in a city. I can't be in the quote-unquote middle of the proverbial nowhere. So then I like to push back. And what does that mean to you? Are you okay looking out your dorm room window and never seeing a tree, or never seeing greenery, or just the hustle and bustle of people? Or is a community and green space and all of that kind of more important to you than you think it might be? How much time do you spend in downtown Columbus? These are all of the things we start to unpack as part of this step one.
Okay, so some of the questions that Ms. Kricko was talking about are questions we want you to ask yourself, but then we also want you to start talking to adults around you. So sort of the first step and the first urge, when you are 15 and 16 years old and you tell somebody that you're a sophomore or junior in high school, they say, what do you want to do with your life? What do you want to major in? What do you want to be when you grow up? And we want to give everybody the license to say, I don't know. I'm 15 years old. I can't even drive yet, or I'm just learning how to drive. You don't need to know this yet. We don't expect you to know it, but we'd like, some people are laughing, so I appreciate you nodding your head that we're not crazy. And parents, we don't think that you need to figure it out with your child right tonight. Like, you don't need to go home tonight and say, oh my God, we got to figure out exactly what you're going to do and what you're going to major in. But there are some tools you can use. We love this one. This is Road Trip Nation. You can just Google it, find it. There's all kinds of fun little videos on there. But you can also ask adults that you know, so some right in this room, your friends' parents, what do you do for a living? Oh, I have no idea. What is your daily life like? Do you feel fulfilled? Are you a happy individual? Do you like going to work the next day? Are you really excited? Do you think you want to do this for your entire career? Start asking adults, because as 15 and 16-year-olds, you get pummeled with these questions, and we want to give you the license to actually be the one asking questions and be the one exploring. This is one of the things that you should and could do early on. We're going to tell you the things that you shouldn't be doing, but this is one thing you should be doing. So more locally, like boots on the ground, some things that you can do at Columbus Academy. First of all, we have this library of podcasts, and there are a lot of bad things that happened in COVID, but some of the good things are some of the programs that we did had to go online, so we recorded them. And you have the ability to go back and listen to all kinds of alumni podcasts of people who sat right in this auditorium and what are they doing now. You also have the ability to participate in an internship. You have the ability to participate in some different clubs and organizations right here at Columbus Academy that allow you to explore different careers, different things that would lead to a career or lead to a major, and we want to encourage you to do some of those as well. Okay, so when you start to do your college research and you're moving in from that self-reflection to the college research piece, we don't want you to start with, okay, I love the color purple. Let's list all the colleges that are purple. Let's do it a little bit more methodically than that. Let's think about some of the criteria that are tried and true. We love this website. This is the College Board College Search. I was trying to do it without my glasses. Parents who are 50, nod your head and tell me you feel for me. I'm going to put them on. We're going to run you through what this website can do. So a little example of this. So when you get on, everything in the box, these are different samples. You can click on any of them. So, technology. Let's see. Let's give it 30 seconds. If you're on your phone, shut it off. Well, here it comes, slowly. Okay, so it's going to start off with 4,000 colleges right down there. As soon as you give it some criteria, we know that we want to go to a four-year school, the student, public and private. It's going to take it down to 2,200 colleges. Location, I think I want to stay a little bit closer to home. I'm going to put in Ohio and some neighboring states. I'm telling my parents as a student, I think I want to be within a 4-hour drive of home. So I'm going to list these states out. Other states are maybe Kentucky, Michigan, and then my family goes to North Carolina for vacation, so I'm going to throw that one on there too. Okay, the number's going to shrink down from 2,000 to 581. I think for my major, I want to do economics. I'm going to throw it in there. Let's see what the number shrinks to. I'm taking that funnel, it's going down, down, down. I'm at 265. Now, in terms of campus life, I just came off of the basketball season. This is a fictitious student. And I think I want to play basketball in college. I don't. I scored 3 points in my entire high school career. I think I'm going to click basketball, living the dream, and I want to be a radio DJ on the weekend. So let's click that. That's it. I don't see anything else that really interests me. Basketball and DJ, that's really going to take up my life. Show me the colleges, and I'm at 80 colleges. In terms of admission selectivity, I'm going to not click the first one and not click the last one. I don't want the most selective. I don't want open enrollment. I'm going to take that number of 80 down to 65. So just in a matter of 1 minute and 30 seconds, I've narrowed that list of colleges all the way down. And then you can start to click on some of these colleges. And the things that you can learn when you start clicking on the schools, there's a wealth of information. So an example would be Spelman is our first example. So Spelman, when it comes up, is an HBCU, a historically black college or university. It's in Atlanta. It's an all-women's college. And you're going to see some admissions data here. You can click on that second tab. It's going to give you all kinds of data about Spelman. Here's another one. You can click on to Northwestern. We've used this one in class before. And right away, you can see numbers, average SAT. You can see an acceptance rate. And you can dig right into some of the information. We like this College Board College Search right off the bat. It's free, it's easy, you can use it. You don't have to have an account, they don't track you. It's the sort of the first step in shopping. Okay, I'm going to turn it over to Ms. Haywood, who's going to talk a little bit about her favorite topic, data.
So before I dive into this, I do want to tell you we're showing you all of this tonight because this is if you are eager to jump in and do this right away. If you were thinking, I'm not interested in doing this yet, I want to wait till we reach this in your junior class, that's just fine. We're just showing you because everybody's on a different stage and step in this. But so when we talk about researching colleges and that self-reflection piece, we talked about some of the things that matter, like location, major choice, interest. All of those are pretty easy to figure out. One of the things that's actually kind of hard to figure out is admission selectivity. So how hard is a school to get into? Am I going to have a chance of getting in there or not? And we wanted to let you know that colleges and universities publish data every year that will help you understand it. This common data set is kind of like a primary source for understanding college admissions and how it might work so that you know the numbers that are behind a school and who they're looking at. And so we are going to show you an example of how to use this. So right now, before we move on, I'm going to start a little role play. Jenny goes to college. Okay. Hi, Jenny. How are you?
Really excited for my first meeting.
Oh, Jenny, it's so nice to see you. I'm really excited for our first meeting, too. Yeah, so,
Great news. This is going to be the best and easiest meeting you've ever had. I already know where I want to go to school. I love California. I love to surf. I love the palm trees. And have you seen my tan? I mean, my dad got me the shirt, and we're all set.
Jenny, I love your enthusiasm. I mean, I meet with students day in and day out, and, you know, this is just wonderful to see. But I don't know if you remember back in that grade 10 preview night when we talked a little bit about the common data set. Let's go in and take a look at the common data set for Stanford.
Whew, that's a tough one.
Tell me what you see, Jenny.
Not good.
Why?
That's a little tougher than I thought, Ms. Haywood, but there's a chance, maybe?
Oh, Jenny, so with that admit rate of 4, that means if 100 people apply, out of every 100 people that apply, and the kids who apply are usually qualified applicants, 96 of them are not going to get in. So you think you're in the 4%?
If I'm being honest, probably not, but it is my first choice, and if I tell them it's my first choice, I think that's really going to help.
Okay.
I mean, I'm going to tell them how much I love them every day.
Okay, Jenny, I love that. I love that. I love that you're going to do that. And let's dig a little deeper into what's available in the common data set about the factors in admissions decisions that Stanford looks at. Oh dear, look at the level of an applicant's interest. What do you see there?
You're bumming me out a little bit here.
Not considered. So Stanford doesn't really care if you're interested in going.
Okay. But I just want to go to California.
Okay, good.
So let's talk about maybe like some other liberal arts colleges where I can surf and see the palm trees.
Okay, sounds good. Well, I have an idea for you, Jenny. What about Pepperdine? I don't know if you've heard much about it or.
I can't wait to learn.
Okay, good. Okay, look what we see here with Pepperdine.
Yeah, a little bit better. I like 4-9. I like the number after the 4. That makes me feel better.
Yeah, so 49% of the students who apply to Pepperdine are ones that get in. So you're right, that's good. Now, I hope you don't get put on the wait list because it doesn't look like they accepted many people from the wait list last year. But
Lot of girls.
yes, you do look at that. More women applying to Pepperdine. So, you know, that is something to consider.
I like what you're doing here, though. Tell me some more about California. So the other thing I want you to know about me is I also think I could be interested in engineering. So I'm going to do this summer program called Operation Catapult. Have you heard of it?
Yes, I have heard
Yeah,
of
it's
it.
really awesome. It's at Rose-Hulman University. Quick plug.
Okay, so well, first I want to show you a little bit about Pepperdine and about some of the things here, because, you know, you do have sterling extracurricular activities.
That's right. Basketball.
Yeah, okay, very good, and that's very important to them. I know you're very active in your church.
Very.
This is a Christian university, and they value that pretty highly. So those are things that might be really important to them. They're
I love
listing
it.
them. You love it, okay.
love it.
So then you told me about the engineering.
Yeah, engineering too.
Okay, so I think I'm getting a
very
sense
well-rounded.
of what you might look at. I'm thinking of other places. Maybe let's look at Harvey Mudd is a school that you might be interested in, part of the Claremont McKenna schools. Here's some information there. And also, you know, I would suggest, since you're going all the way out to California.
Ms. Haywood, they really need me. Look at the number of women.
Yeah.
I mean, they need me
Yeah,
bad.
they are like the top math and science school. It's going to be.
So am
I know. I love your confidence, Jenny. That's going to help you serve you well in life, but we're going to
Excited.
also balance out that list. And so we're going to put on some of these other schools that we see down here, because I think these are schools: University of San Francisco, Santa Clara, Redlands,
You're
Occidental.
doing a really good job. I feel better and better about myself.
Jenny, you're such a
Thank you
pleasure
so
to
much,
work.
Ms. Haywood.
Yeah, going in for the hug. Okay, good. Okay, all right, Jenny is going to college. Okay.
And you can see that they did not ask me to do the skit for a lot of reasons. Okay, so I'm going to talk with you. If you kind of remember back to that example that we showed you, taking the College Board site and kind of filtering down to things that might be interesting to you and that giving you colleges. Colleges do the same thing. They have a big pool of students and they use that as a funnel to kind of filter down ultimately to who they are going to offer enrollment to or admission to, and then ultimately who enrolls. This slide, you will see it a lot. We like this slide, we use it a lot, but this is just a first glance at it. We want you to kind of expand your vocabulary around the world of college admissions. So you're gonna hear things like admit rate or selectivity, and we've got those listed up there. You're gonna hear things like yield rate, the number of students who actually ultimately enroll. versus who's been admitted. Colleges use this funnel to kind of work through their group of students and ultimately decide who they're going to offer admission to. College admissions has changed a lot from when we applied to college a few years ago, and it's way less formulaic. There's really no rubric. It's a lot more about those institutional priorities. If you remember back to the Jenny example in Stanford, she was really excited because it was her #1 choice and she was going to call them every day, I think she said. And they just don't consider how interested you are when they're looking at applicants. It doesn't matter to them. It's not a priority at their university, but it is a priority at other places like Case Western Reserve or Dickinson or Elon. You know, some schools really value community service, like Kalamazoo College in Michigan, or, you know, the commitment to religious values like Pepperdine or Notre Dame. So knowing what is important to the colleges that you're applying to will definitely be a leg up in this process, and knowing that those pieces are available to you on those common data sets is a great place to kind of start with that. There's been just explosive growth. I'm sure you've heard these things in the news and read them in different articles. There are a lot of reasons around the explosive growth in admissions, and this is kind of what we kind of live for. It sounds really nerdy, but this is kind of what we keep our finger on the pulse of all the time. This is definitely a huge part of our job, is knowing what's happening out there in the world of college admissions. Things like test optional admissions, COVID really kind of turned this upside down, and almost every college in the country went test optional for some period of time, and we're going to talk a little bit about that in a few moments. But a lot of times this meant, you know, students who maybe looked at an average score an SAT score at a school of the admitted students and saw themselves 300 points below that average may not have necessarily put their application into the pool before the world of test optional admissions. But now that that school is test optional and your GPA is a strong GPA, you might throw your name into the pool, your application into the pool. So that's definitely something that has changed quite a bit. Parents, if you think back to when you applied, you probably didn't apply using the internet. You probably filled out a piece of paper. Perhaps you used a typewriter to type it out. Maybe you licked a stamp, put it in an envelope, put it in the mail. That's just not another barrier anymore to applying to colleges. So with all of that being said, applications are up, and therefore admission rates, or the admit rate, the selectivity, it's climbing, it's going down. And so this is the biggest trend that we're seeing, and kind of continuing to hear about as we work through these applicant cycles. 3,700 schools out there, four-year colleges and universities, but we typically hear about 100 or so. Those are the ones we can name off of the top of our heads. Those are the ones that are always in the news. And we really want you to understand that you're going to hear numbers are up, and they are. They're up at a lot of places, and it's so easy to focus on the places that we know, but there are many really wonderful best fit schools out there, and we know that this feels overwhelming, and we get that it seems chaotic and unpredictable, but we want you to kind of broaden your horizons a little bit and really start to think about all the different wonderful places that are out there for students. So as you look at this slide, which really highlights the explosive growth, you're going to see lots of really interesting statistics, but I want to talk with you a little bit about our friend down the road, Ohio State. It's my alma mater, so I feel that there's probably a few of us Buckeyes in the room. If you applied to Ohio State in the late 80s or early 90s, there were about 17,500 applications in that time. So that's the number of students who were applying, and they were admitting quite a large number of those applicants. Today, actually last year, they received about 72,000 applications. So in that time span, they've gone from 17,000 to 72,000 plus. So that's explosive growth, and kind of that's what we're talking about when we talk about these numbers.
This is how you know your colleagues love you when they ask you to talk about financial aid. So this is the shortest straw of the entire program. But please don't fall asleep. I'll feel really badly about it. So financial aid. There are a few basic things as sophomores and parents that you should know. Number one, it exists. Number two, college is expensive. Lots of people talk about financial aid and paying for college. It's not a taboo subject anymore, and you don't have to be the ostrich with your head in the sand like, I have no idea how much college is going to cost. You absolutely can figure out how much college will cost your family. There are lots of tools out there. Every college who receives federal financial aid must have a financial aid calculator or estimator on their website. If I was a parent, I would go home tonight or this weekend and say, I'm going to go onto one of these schools and just do a financial aid estimator. It's going to ask you some very basic information from your taxes. You put it in, and it's going to tell you what your student aid index is or what your family might be expected to pay for college in any given year. Is it perfect? No, but it's pretty darn close. Every October, we have 2 financial aid nights. One is about merit-based aid and all kinds of aid with Smart Track, and the other one is about applying for need-based aid. If this topic interests you or will be a part of your discussions, come to one of those nights. What we want to tell you, though, is to have the money and the budget talk very early in the process. If you have a number in your mind and it's a very firm number, I think you should share that with your child as a parent to say, this is what we've set aside, here's what's in our 529, or here's what we value as a family in terms of what we expect to pay for college, this is what it is. Okay, the philosophy of need-based financial aid is very simple. It used to be that if you wanted to, you could work your way through college in the late 80s, early 90s. So the numbers that Carla was using, Ms. Krupka was using in terms of application numbers, does anybody know what it costs to pay for Ohio State in 1989? Just tuition. Raise your hand and give it a guess. No, for the whole year. Tuition for the year. 2,000. Less. 2,000 less. I feel like Bob Barker. This is hilarious. Yeah. So it's a little less than 2,000. It was 1,700 with room and board, everything all together. I think we'd estimated it was less than $5,000. It was about $4,500. With inflation, that's $11,000 in today's money. So you could work your way through Ohio State back in the day. You can't do that. Tuition, room, board, and fees all in right now, even at Ohio State, which is maybe one of the lower cost public state universities, $30,000. So that idea of, well, we paid for academy, you've got to pay for college, it's really not possible. So the government and colleges agree that parents you kind of are on the hook for this. You can decide what you want to contribute and what level of college you want to look at in terms of price, but you are going to be responsible financially. We like this little graphic. This is the 3-legged stool. And if one of these legs is missing, so if there's no college savings, then the other 2 are going to hold up the leg of the stool. If you don't want to take out loans, then current income and your savings are going to have to pay for it all. But this is a very basic idea and general idea of need-based financial aid and how it works. Okay, so if you're a sophomore and you're thinking, I'm super excited, and I can see it in your faces, it's really plastered all over. These are the things you get to do. And I want to encourage you to think about, like, what do I get to do, not what do I have to do? My advisory, they're very used to this, like, oh my God, do we have to go to service day? And I would say, we get to go to service day. So you get to take the practice ACT. And that's on Wednesday, April 10th. That's the same day that the juniors will be taking the real live in-school SAT. So juniors will do that, they will be done, and you will be taking a practice ACT. That is digital, we'll get you all prepared for it. But we want you to know about that because you've already taken the PSAT. You're going to take a practice ACT with Compass Prep, our partner. Ms. Haywood's going to talk about testing because they made me talk about financial aid. And you're going to get something back, a little report that tells you this is which test is better for you. Here's how you did on the PSAT. Here's how you did on the practice ACT. We think you're better at this exam versus another. So come on that day, prepared like it's a real test, and you'll take it. Then in April, we will have grade 10 academic planning appointments. I think we started doing these 5 or 6 years ago. So there's a parent who I won't name in here. This is her 4th child. And she said, I don't think we always did all this stuff for sophomores. You're right. But now we're very interested in talking to you before you leave for the summer to get you on a plan in terms of testing, if you want to have athletic recruiting be part of your process, if you've never started your service hours, if you want to talk about your course schedule. These are all things that we'll talk about very quickly in 15 minutes. During an academic planning conference. You will get an email on April 2nd. This email will go to parents. Parents, you need to know your child's schedule because you're going to pick a time where all of you are available. You're going to come and you're going to meet with a college counselor. If you sign up for a time when they have English with Ms. Hogan is not going to be happy. So that's the second thing you're going to get to do as a sophomore. The third thing you're going to do is you're going to have a field trip. So in May 20th, that's the very first day after AP exams end, and Ms. Conti is a very happy person. The very first day, juniors are going to Kings Island. They go on a physics trip. Sophomores, you go on a field trip with us. We're going to show you how to do a campus visit, how to do a college tour, what kind of questions you should ask. You're going to go with us and some of your teachers, and it's going to be a good time. If you want to follow us on social media because you don't read your email, you can follow us on social media, but please read your email. Okay, these are our 2 handles. What do you call them? 2 social medias. Follow them. Okay. this is what will happen in your junior year, right? So this is the sophomore year from now until the end of the year. Next year is the busy year. You will never hear us say it's the grind of junior year. We hate, actually loathe the term, the grind of junior year. That is your opportunity, it's your time to shine. And the junior year is really busy, but it's really exciting. These are some of the things that will happen in terms of college counseling, and you will be busy, we will be spending a lot of time together, but we're telling you about it now so that you know what to expect. I'm not gonna read it, you can all read it for yourself. Okay, sophomore parents, we're talking to you. These are the things that we think you should be thinking about between now and the end of the year. We've talked about the budget and signing up for a conference, but we want to encourage you to take deep cleansing breaths. We want you to follow the roadmap. We don't want you to leave this room and say, oh my gosh, we've got to start the whole college process. Like, let's plan a full-blown college tour this summer. Don't do that. We want you to follow this at a very measured pace. We're going to tell you why in a minute. And we want you to focus on moments of joy, moments of flourishing. We want you to be part of the fun of sophomore and junior year, not part of the drag. We don't want to have this negativity surrounding any of this. We want you to think about, how can I be a joyful part of my child's life in this process? Okay. Communication. So, we think we send out some pretty good stuff. About half of you read it. We can tell. We can tell when you open our emails. We're kind of sus like that. We track it a little bit. But we put all kinds of stuff in the Viking Voice. PACA does a great job of sending out some emails. We will email you once in a while. We will email you when things are important. Please read them. That's it. Just do it. Like, just read the email. That used to just say students email, and then we changed it to students and parents. I'm talking also to us. We know you get a lot, but can you just give it a cursory glance and just stay informed? You will later this week receive a recording of this program, the slides. You're going to get handouts when you leave. If you lose them and you put them in the back of your car, we'll send them to you via email, but we want you to have this information at your fingertips. And now Ms. Hay was going to talk to you all about the riveting topic of standardized testing. It's almost as fun as financial aid.
So standardized testing is a little bit like admission selectivity. It's a hard topic to wrap your arms around in terms of what's important and what to know. And so I'm going to tell you a couple of things about this, and hopefully this will help you understand it a little bit more. So just to let you know, junior year is the big testing year for college entrance exams. And college entrance exams are the SAT and the ACT. And we have this little graphic up here about the pencils disappearing because the College Board tests, the SAT and the PSAT are now all digital. The ACT is moving into a digital pilot phase, and in fact, when you take the pre-ACT here on April 10th, that's going to be a digital version of the test. We see this gathering momentum and taking place, and we wanted to let you all know that. Now, it's not just us that says, that we're not the only people that say you need to wait until your junior year to take standardized tests. Colleges are saying that too. This is from Carnegie Mellon. They will not accept a test score, an SAT or an ACT score, that was taken before the junior year. The bottom line is they don't want testing to be an extracurricular activity for you. We don't want you to spend an inordinate amount of time of this. If you could list this as something that in your activities that you've spent a lot of time on, that's not a good use of time. And nothing kills joy in this process more than hammering home standardized testing. We sort of say that 12 to 15 hours of prep makes sense, and we'll talk to you about the appropriate times for that, and we'll talk to you about your individual testing plan. Every student is going to have an individual testing plan, and that's something that we'll go over in your grade 10 conference. And when kids take this test really depends on the courses that you're taking, the activities that you're involved with, all of these different factors that will determine that, and everyone will be a little bit different. Okay, so Compass Prep is a group that we partner with. Compass Prep is they gave us the exam, which is a pre-ACT that we're going to give you all on April 10th. And just so you know, the reason that we're doing this is so that you can get a taste of the ACT. You can see what it feels like just the way you took the PSAT to get a sense of what's on this test. This is not going to be a test that we're going to offer any accommodations for. The ACT doesn't approve kids for accommodations until They are actually sitting for the test, so for this administration, we will not have that. It will just be a way to sort of see, dip your toe in the water, do I like this or not, before we make decisions about what testing you'll be taking. Compass Prep, we also every year have a coffee with them, and there's a recording here of that coffee. If you find you want to learn a lot of information about standardized testing, that's a good way to learn it. Okay, so the PSAT, you all took the pre-PSAT last year, or this past October, as a way to get a sense of that test. But when you take it in the junior year, it's a test that's used for national merit scholarship awards, and it's just another way of predicting what your SAT scores might look like. This is not a test score that's sent to colleges, but it's an exam that is used for other outside scholarship purposes. The SAT and the ACT. For those of us that are older in the room, there might have been a time where a school only accepted the SAT or only accepted the ACT or had a preference for one or the other. Now they're viewed exactly the same by colleges and universities. And our students typically take an ACT and an SAT and then might decide which one they like better and which one they might want to focus on. Students here take the test during the junior year, and then students also take it often in the fall of the senior year. And just so you know, 1/3 of test takers get their highest score in the fall of their senior year. Students, you're still growing up. You're still learning things about this and about your learning subjects and learning about the world. And it makes sense that over time, your scores will improve. Anything else that I missed on that? No, okay. AP exams. So AP exams are not used for college admissions. They're not college admissions exam. They're actually, they give you college credit, and they are often a college placement exam. And the thing is, the reason that we bring this up about AP exams is that AP exams, although they are not required for college admissions, a lot of colleges with low admit rates are using these scores in their process in reading applications. And this is a low-risk exam. When you take this exam, you can take it, and if you don't have the best day, as Ms. Fitzpatrick says, you can hold that score real close to your heart. You don't have to tell a single college about the score that you got. They don't ask you, to report everything. You only report when you do well. Every student at Columbus Academy, by the time they graduate, will have the opportunity to take AP exams. There are over 600 exams given here every year. Some students start taking these as early as sophomore year, freshman year, but the bulk of students will take them during junior or senior year. And those are opportunities for you to highlight strengths, to show on a national exam how you might perform. So why have AP exam scores become important in college admissions, and why are colleges looking at them a little bit more? These are just bar graphs that may be hard to read when you're reading them from far away. But just to give you a snapshot here, in 1997, the graduating class, B was the predominant grade given in high school. By 2017, A's and B's were really about the same number of them were given out. And then as we've gotten to a class of 2021, the A's are over 60% of students receive A's in courses. So that grade inflation has really been happening across high schools, and AP exams are something that colleges use as a distinguishing factor, understanding a little bit more about that might mean and what a data point that might be. So if some of you are in your chair sweating, saying, oh my gosh, I hate those tests, why is Mrs. Haywood talking all about them? Rest assured, there are options. There are many test optional colleges and universities out there. This FAIR Test organization lists all the colleges and the universities that are test optional. What will happen is then there'll be more weight on your transcript when colleges are reading your applications. They're looking at that a little bit more. And then Also, just to tell you a little bit about the landscape and a little bit about what we're seeing, there are many recent headlines about colleges and universities reinstating standardized testing into their process. So hot off the press today, University of Texas, Austin reinstated standardized testing as a requirement for admissions. So we will continue to watch these trends. This is not anything that you need to know about at this point in time. All of our students here do take standardized tests, and then we make decisions at the point of applying, whether they will apply with the test scores or not, depending on the schools that they are considering.
Okay, so what does all this mean? How can you be successful in college, and what is that process, part of that process going to look like? It's about finding the right match. This is an individual journey. Finding colleges that are a good fit for you is not going to be the same as finding a college or colleges that are a good fit for your best friend. It's just a very individualized process, and what is most important is what fits you, the students, and you, the family. As I said before, we know this seems super overwhelming, but this is just the start. It's not the end of getting into college is not the end of the story. It's just the beginning of the story, and where you go is not necessarily what's going to happen to you. What happens while you're there is the start of that particular process. So we've talked so much about data and all of the trends we keep our eyes on in the college admissions world. But one thing that we also keep our eyes on really, really closely is protecting and guarding the mental health of you, the students, not only in high school in general, but certainly in this college admissions process. I think we've said the words joy and happiness and flourishing a lot up here, but we also don't want to sound Pollyanna. We know that there are going to be stressful moments in this process, and we want you to kind of be aware of how that feels and what might come up, and know that we are always here in coordination with our counseling team here at school. But we want you to know that we are aware of the pressure that is on you, students, in this. And so we have a lot of resources that we like to share out with families. This is one of them. This is about an 8-minute CBS News clip, and we think it's really worth your time. It talks a lot about how to cope with the pressure to succeed. And we want you to know that we are here to help you and tackle all of those pieces together. We have some suggested reading for parents in the room, whether it's this book, Never Enough, which we've had rave reviews from, or you're following psychologists like Lisa D'Amour on Instagram, or following her podcast. She was here last year and spoke with both students, and then she did an evening program for parents. I'm very fortunate to know her personally, and I worked with her for a long time at my previous school, and she does a really beautiful job of framing how to cope with the stress and pressure from the parent perspective. What words can you say to kind of just help your student and guide them along through the process?
You guys are doing a good job. We're almost done. Okay, how can parents help? We put some intentional questions up here, and I'm going to read a couple for you, but the biggest way you can help and to be a partner is to just trust us a little bit with this process. We take it really seriously, if you can't tell, and to be quite frank, I think we're pretty good at it. We have a plan for you. We have a trusted roadmap. We tweak it every day. We were down here after assembly kind of rehearsing about what we wanted to tell you. There is so much. If you could stay here till midnight, we could keep you all here till midnight and bore you with all kinds of statistics, but we promised everybody to keep it to an hour. That's as much as you should know right now. This is as much as you should be thinking about it. The intentional questions that we want you to think about asking, instead of asking about college all the time to teenagers, we would actually love to ask for your help with this, and to just basically say, please stop asking kids about college. We think that that's a question you ask with the best of intentions. Juniors, where are you looking? Oh, it's spring break. What colleges are you going to visit? Seniors, where are you applying? To a kid who gets those questions, they are trying to figure out, what are the questions behind your question? When I tell you my list of colleges, are you trying to guess my GPA? Are you trying to guess my SAT score? Adults, we use the analogy of, you would never say, oh, you got a new job. How much money are you making? You look really great. How many pounds have you lost? These are just not polite questions in conversation, and we want you to start thinking about that way with kids in the college questions. These are some other things that you can ask instead, and I'm going to read them. Oh, I can't even see this. I'm going to read them. Where do you want to spend time after graduation from high school? How do you want to spend it? What challenges do you seek? What opportunities do you want to explore? What might you miss the most? And what are you looking most forward to being different? You notice the word college, name of college, college, university, SAT score, nothing was in there, right? It's all about interpersonal connections and different questions that you can ask kids. So we want to encourage you to be our partner in that. When you're at a soccer game or a lacrosse game and you hear the conversation taking a very strict veer right towards this, bring it back the other way. Okay, these are some of the things we've learned. We're not going to read to you, but I'm going to stop. I'm going to give you a second to read them. I'm going to tell you the ones that we think are most important. In green, this can be a joyful time in a child's life. Most important. Second most important thing, there is a 14-month lifespan. Is there research to prove this? There's not. We've just done this for a long time, and that's what we know. So if you start today, in 14 months, they will putter out. So when we need them to peak, parents, when we need them to be writing college essays and doing interviews and getting excited about visits, they will be saying, I'm so sick of this. It's all we talk about in our house. So we're going to ask you politely to just hold up. You can talk about the self-reflection. You can do a little Road Trip Nation. You can look at some career podcasts, but we're going to ask you just to hold up. If you do some early college visits, we want to encourage you not to go and visit like Jenny did with the Stanford t-shirt. We want to encourage you to visit schools with a little bit more of an admit rate there. We also want you to think about the fact that things change very quickly. Ms. Krooka showed you the slide with some admissions number on that, and that's not to scare anybody. That's sort of, parents, we're going to date you. Who remembers NBC, The More You Know, Saturday morning cartoons, the stars went across? Nod your head, right? Yeah, this is The More You Know. We just want you to be informed because things change quickly. We try to inform you. That's our job. Our job is to get that information and share it with our families. Anything else? Turn it over to Ms. Haywood. We're almost done.
So one thing I like to draw out is that students and parents are on different timelines and journeys. And parents, many of you may have been thinking about this college piece for a really, really long time. And kids are actually just beginning this. I mean, they've been in high school. They've been thinking, am I going to make it through sophomore year? What am I doing for prom? What's coming up with the play? When am I going to have my next band performance? When's my next game? And college is part of the process for them, but it's not something that captures their imagination until we talked about a little bit later for most of them. And so what we know is that parents in that face of anxiety, worry about this, often see all of these opportunities for help out there. And they might feel, oh my gosh, I need this. I'm anxious about this. I need help. Well, I'll tell you, in the vast majority of high schools, you don't have this. You don't have this college counseling. So there are certain schools where people have to hire independent college counselors because they're not getting it in schools. That is not the school that you send your child to, and that's not the place where they live and where they go to school. What happens is an independent consultant, and I'll just give you a word about this, in the name of strategy, actually may end up, it really, in most cases, undermines the college search and selection process. It's another adult, another cook in the kitchen, trying to give advice about what to do and when to do it, and actually may be as a deterrent for students and their relationships with one of the college counselors that we have here. It can be too much. Test prep. I mean, really, if somebody says, we'll pay you $5,000, you pay us $5,000 and we're going to guarantee you a score, that's really a dangerous thing to do, because as we've talked about with the standardized test scores, people can obsess about this. And one thing I forgot to mention on the other slide is that, some families and students want to think that the scores matter less than they do, and some families think they matter more than they do. They're just one data point in this, and to spend a lot of your resources, time, and money on this is just a waste. There are going to be plenty of ways to spend your time and money visiting colleges, finding out about them, doing some standardized test prep later on, but not in a big, full-scale way early on. Expensive summer programs. really, again, this is not at a flashy college going to one of these. That's not really going to help with college admission. We have many opportunities for growth and learning over the summer, and we have a wonderful enrichment and internship site that you all can turn to for some resources. Anything I missed? No. Okay, great. So just a couple of other things to tell you all about. Number one, so after this meeting, we're going to send you all of the information here, but I think to know the big dates coming up, April 2nd, parents look for the email about the grade 10 academic planning conferences. Those are going to be, you're going to be meeting one-on-one students and parents with a college counselor. So we're going to be sitting down and doing that together. So April 2nd. And then April 10th coming up, that pre-ACT, and then also the college tour. What we love, and the reason that we put this picture at the end here, is this is one of our favorite days because kids come in with such pride and they're all wearing their shirts. And you know, every year we have kids who go to 55 to 65 different colleges and universities, and this is a sort of culmination of that. And it's a very, very happy day as we see that, as they decide where they're going. We did want to let you know that we have a packet of information for you, which you all can pick up, one per household on the way out. That's going to be more reading material that you will have there. And if you find yourself with any burning questions about college counseling, right now, please email the collegecounseling@columbusacademy.org email address. We check it regularly. We get to it as a group. We find who the best person is to answer questions for you. You will not officially be assigned a college counselor until the November meeting in the junior year, but until then, we're sort of working on things with you all. And here's the phone number. Some of you may have our cell phone numbers because you were on a team with our child, or you may know us, and we're just going to ask you not to text us with college counseling questions. We're really, really good about answering our emails, and like Mrs. Fitz likes to say, unless you're texting her about playing pickleball, she doesn't want to hear from you. So if you want to play pickleball. She does like to play pickleball. She runs the club here, and in fact, this year, she got them to apply for a grant that they won. So she's very interested in that topic, if anybody wants to continue that after time. Anything else? Thank you. You guys were great. This is the first time we did it on the podium, and we felt like people didn't laugh as much, or maybe it wasn't as formal. But so I want some feedback from some of you who have been here before. Is the podium too formal for our style, or did it work? It was okay? Okay, good. It's good. Okay, thanks.